Okay, so 62, 63, I'm not sure. You want to start, Laura?
Sure. I did the hip dysplasia for dogs on
Okay.
my cousin's dog last night who could hardly get up. And so we went through it, and he was sitting next to me when I was playing it. And like when we get to the hip dysplasia, he started yawning. And then the joints, he was like, his bottom jaw was like quivering. And Nikki's dog, she's on here. She's gonna do it on her dog. Nikki, can you come on?
Yeah, I can come on.
She's got, how old is your dog?
Layla is 15.
So she's been giving her medication, and they find out that it wasn't good for her. So she's gonna try it. So next week we'll bring back the results about Layla.
Okay, cool.
And Ziggy doesn't live with me, but I'll bring back what he says about it. So I'm excited.
Okay, super.
Like when they can walk and you don't have to do surgery.
Because you really had good results with your dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. Good.
Anybody else wants to share something before we start? Don't be shy. I'm sure you have plenty of good results.
Oh, I can top the results of last time. I described the old elderly woman, and yesterday I had a 50-year or 49-year-old lady, and she has an integral core of 68. It was like Jesus Christ, you know. But there, I could find a few things, so it was interesting. But it's amazing.
Okay, cool.
68.
And Dan, you wanted to come on?
I've been using we just finished another 21-day personal guide, and then Jeff's been helping me like last night. Thank you, Jeff. But my cousin's husband is, he's been a plumber on his knees and stuff all his life, and he's getting ready to go. He's been talking to the surgeons about getting his knee replaced. And I was, I'm willing to just do this stuff for free for him because he's family, but he's really kind of hesitant. He's a real solid nuts and bolts guy, he's plumber and this is how it works. And I was wondering if there was anything that anybody would be willing to say, well, go look here, besides a basic program. I just really want to.
You can just do an exploration. Just a recording on standard priorities and maybe some tailored priorities if you want, and some stimuli that would be tailored to helping him. Joints. We have joints. We have a lot of stimuli.
Yeah.
And if he decides to go with the surgery because it helps him, you can also you can help with the post surgery recovery and so on.
I was hoping to nip it in the bud before he actually got to the surgery. I'll see him this weekend.
Dan, check his adrenals. Everybody I've ever had knee problems with have adrenal problems.
Okay, I will. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have right now. Other than completing the personal guide. For some reason, my harmonizers, when I play those, and I guess it's because I'm playing them, I convert it into an external MP3 and then play it while I'm out and about, but it's not registering in my treasures.
The treasures are still a little bit experimental. I renamed it Badges recently. Do not confuse with the 33 Treasures series that we released in Adventure. And as you said before we start recording, you were speaking about the 7 years cycles and things like that. And all of this is part of Christine's books, Prodigy. And she just finished her second book in French, and she's in the process of working on a translation in English. As soon as this is available in English. We will start working on finishing the modules in BioCoherence that are related to our work. And it will probably part of a new series of analysis screens that will be called Adventure, and that will be more about life mission, the life cycles, and things like that. So more in a more general way of self-development on a long term, on a long perspective. And that's what we started to open with Adventure in the basic programs, and we will then extend this concept of Adventure in the analysis screens. And I think it will be really very interesting for people interested in their global life perspective, I think.
I agree. I mean, it's, there's also, 10-year cycles and other cycles, but
Yeah.
If a person, like say somebody at my age, 68, and I say, well, okay, I've got the scan, but I want to really focus on, this cycle of my life and enhance the exploration with those things, something that I really don't have to, I mean, I'm looking for an easier way to do it so I don't have to put in, all that extra mental effort. Yes, can I do AI? Sure, I can. I don't know if AI is familiar with those cycles, though. So that's why
anyway, it will be a brand new way to work on self-development, and I think it's one of the core concepts that we wanted to develop with BioCoherence anyway. So we are slowly getting there, but I think it could be life transforming to really work on these core concepts. So very, very excited to work on that and to release that. Anybody else wants to share something?
Dan, with the knee guy, it's usually hamstrings. I'm willing to bet that he can't touch his toes. And with a few simple yoga poses, that'll take the pressure off the knee, releasing the hamstrings and the pelvis.
Thank you for that. That's very informative. But he's also got like me on my knee, which is it's pretty low right now, but a Wendley cyst. He got like a big, almost golf ball size knot on his kneecap.
Yeah.
And it comes and goes, but
it's usually coming from up in the hips. Like I see that all the time, and it's hard to get people to do something consistently, but just simply when it's in the extremity, everything plugs into the spine. So tracking that back, I mean, I guarantee you, if he would, start doing something every day with that stretch, it would get it off the knees. Because I know when I don't get my back, my knee is the first thing to go out. But yeah, so I mean, I would get those frequencies, look at the BioCoherence stuff, whatever comes up, but there's probably something with his core and the hips and everything else. So
that's a very good introduction for one of the things I wanted to show you in using BioCoherence.
Just mention quick, Steve yesterday talked about his frozen shoulder because he's on a golf thing, I guess. He's been golfing it, and he said that he played the frozen shoulder sequence off the BioCoherence, and it cleared it up right away. So now he can go do his golf.
Wow, that's very cool. Yeah, these new basic programs are really a very good way to start using BioCoherence because if you don't really know where to start with some specific programs, you can just start with the basic program and either use it alone or include it into your own exploration. But start with the symptoms that is related to the basic program, and it will include everything that is around this symptom. So it's a good way to work on specific symptoms or specific complaints.
My clients will have sickness, and I'll send them there for like lymph drain or the knee thing or the shoulder, like all of those, and they all have come back and said that they do work.
Okay. Cool.
So, and I've done the shoulder thing. Those are good things, Dan, too, to be able to send to them so that they can do it on their own and see if they get any relief. And if they get just a little bit, then you can probably get them to do the scan. It's my advice.
Yeah.
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 Do that. Yeah.
Start with the basic programs. It's a very good way to dig into BioCoherence without too much hassle, and once people start feeling the effect it can have on them, then you can just go deeper. Anyway, that's why we do these 21-day programs. It's because it's a first step, and people have to feel something. So the first one is important, and they can perfectly start with the basic program only. And when they start engaging with the way that BioCoherence works, you will get tremendous results. But of course, the first step is the hardest because most people are reluctant to try something new, or maybe find that it's maybe a little bit woo-woo, or they don't just get with the principles that we use at first because it's so different from what they are used to do. So once you get this first resistance out, because people have good results, then you can really go deep. And this 21-day program is designed to change every month, and to go deeper and deeper into specific programs and problems. So step by step.
Thank you for that. I'm going if I'll just browse through do the search and then generate several MP3s maybe, and then maybe identify them as 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then I'll see him Sunday for the Seahawks. For the division.
Yeah.
Say here, listen to this.
Yeah.
Plug it in. I don't care if you're using Bluetooth or not. This is going to be beneficial.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, his wife, my cousin, she had just epilepsy got a hold of her, and she's doing better now, but for quite a few years she was, this is even before I knew BioCoherence, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty well managed, but there are some side effects, of course, of the medication she's been taking.
Yeah.
And she just won't even consider. I mean, her mom has Alzheimer, and I've scanned her mom, and
Well, you cannot force people to do something they don't want to do. You can just show them that you have some results, and at one point maybe they want to come up, and at one point you have to just accept that they are coming. But you can absolutely not force people to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah, there's starting to talk about these med beds and stuff now too, and release things as everyone's trying to distract people from everything else. So I think that's a good thing because that's going to be relatable. Where this is kind of that cheaper in your pocket, running on speakers and light.
Yeah.
And now too. So yeah, so I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
People talking more about this type of thing because this is something that's practical, that's a little bit ahead of the curve. But I find people are starting to relate more when there's more conventional things being spoken about, and it's simpler than this. So we got to just, get it all working.
Yeah.
Keep pushing it forward because it's coming.
Exactly.
Be inevitable. So.
Okay, thank you. So one thing we started to do, one-to-one with each of you. So be prepared that Stephen will probably call you in the coming days to make a one-to-one with you, to just see how you use the app and what is working well with you, what is working not well, what kind of bug you fall into and we didn't fix yet because we have no idea that you clicked on this particular place, because that's not something that we do. So we really have to go over your shoulder and see some particular use cases that you have. And frankly, we started doing that with some users, and it's
We did it today, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
We found so many bugs when we just actually run through from the end user's perspective, step by step, how they engage with it from their own use cases.
Yeah.
So we fixed a ton of bugs today. So
yeah, and the thing is that these bugs are already fixed and already on beta. So it's a way for us to really iterate very fast on bug resolution when we can when we can actually see how the bug happens, it's solved at 50%. So if you are willing to spend a little bit of time with Steven, it will really help us find out this problem. But we also find some very interesting feedback in these discussions. And for instance, let me share one of the things that is in the latest beta. Which one is it?
Is that 0.15 or
1.6.
oh, it's not out yet. I searched.
It is since the beginning of this call.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I searched this morning. I always every morning when I
Yes, if you search again, it will be there. So one of the things that we realized is that it's not easy to use analysis screen and to find the priorities that are on screen and so on. So now one of the novelties in .16 is that if you, sorry, I must open another file. Let me open this one, for instance. Okay, better. So if you go on chakras, for instance, you will immediately get here a list of priorities that are related to the current screen. And some of these priorities are already added into our automatic priorities, but maybe not all. So if you open the chakra screen, you will see the priorities to consider, which are the 5 or 6 more important priorities amongst chakras. And when you roll over, it will directly show you where it is on screen. Which is the same as we had with the AI helpers, but now it's integrated here. So for instance, if you go to momentum, you will see the most important priorities like that, and you just have to roll over it to get to see where it is. So I think that's very nice. And it's the same on every screen. If you go, for instance, on meridians, so you click on meridians, and you will see the priorities that are related to meridians. And soon it will be highlighted, not yet in this one, but it will come.
It's a lot clearer and
Yes.
nice. I love those screens. I haven't seen that yet, but that's.
Can you go to drives, please?
Yes. Yes. 1 second, of course. Yes. And so same for the points. You will see the most important points that are the highest priorities. And in organs, it's even more interesting because you will see the one related to the current screen. It means that if you go to teeth, for instance, you will be the most important priorities in teeth. Vertebrae, you will see the most important ones. And each time, you can just roll over and it will show you directly what it is. So I think, and then of course, if you click on it, you get more information.
Wow,
and the same on every screen. So if you go to the beloved drive screen that Dan loves, it will be the same. So at first you will get some priorities and it will show you where it is.
Nice.
Okay. So I think that's exactly the kind of feedback that we had by just seeing how one particular user was working with the app and struggling with some features, and we came with this idea by just discussing with them. So please use this kind of feedback time and one-to-one with Steven to say everything that you want this app to be for you, because I want it to be the best app in the world and I want it to be the most useful for you. So
I think that organ page is something that a lot of people like to see because that relates directly and people are usually concerned about their organs.
Yeah.
So if we could focus on that, because I've also noticed that screen that you're on with the organs hasn't in the past worked the best.
Yes.
It locks up and is confusing. So to get it smooth like this, I think would be a great asset for people.
Yeah, so you just go to organs and you get this kind of priorities. If you click on it, of course, you have more information. You can click on the parts to see direct evaluation on everything that is on screen.
Can you click on each organ and that'll pop up with like a causal chain? Or?
Yes. So if you click anywhere on the screen,
but it doesn't work. Like a lot of times you hit something, then it'll go to something else.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work that great. Maybe if we could put in like liver.
Yes, you can. So either you click on the screen or you just click here on the list and you can search by name or just click on the item you want.
Okay.
Okay, so use this one. So it's on top on small screens, and it's on the left. If I enlarge a little bit on computers, let me enlarge. Yes, okay. So at some point it comes on the left from the computer. So you can just use the arrows and look item by item, just like that, or click on it and get the full list. So it's the same on every screen. If you search for teeth, for instance, and you click on parts, you will see all the teeth and their respective states, and you can just click on it. So maybe some of the screens are not very practical to click. Of course, clicking on the teeth is very easy, but clicking on the whole body list, this one is not so easy. And that's why we highlighted when you roll over something, you see which one you are about to click on. So I see this is the lung, for instance, so I can click on it.
I mean, you did ask for it to be like what we would like. So
Yeah.
It'd be easier if it was a little different. I don't know.
Yeah. So what's your idea? More like a list?
And so like if you get back up into like the face or whatever, like you want to look at like the eyeballs or something, or in the brain, and it'll like you'll hit it and then it'll say skin or hair, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, dude. But when you're working with a client, like going back and forth and trying to figure out how to do it can be very frustrating. I think that's what we're saying.
Okay.
Not like,
Yeah,
yes,
this
there's
seems-
other ways
this
of
seems like
getting
it's-
there. Sorry,
Yeah,
TJ.
this seems like it's coming along though, and they're squaring it away because that it was locked.
Yeah.
That was
I
the
love-
big screen that people wanted to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that this is straightened out, I think that's a great asset because that's what at least my people always want to see, the organs, because that's something that somebody said to them and something that they understand that's real and physical, so they're always like, well, how's my liver doing or something,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
So one thing we added is that it's highlighted with a white shadow when you are on it, so it's a little bit more clear which one you are about to click on.
Is that new?
Yes, since a few months
Okay.
maybe, but it's relatively new. Yes.
Okay.
So I think that makes things a little bit easier to understand. But maybe the best part is to click on part and to actually get the one you want from the list.
Yeah, I think the whole thing looks better. And I think that's great because when I go in, people want to see their organ. And then when you get into there and you can see the chain, and if there's something already added, that seems to speak to people. That's like, oh, okay, well, this thing is feeding my liver. So it is addressing that. And that seems to really make people comfortable and, to make them feel good about having a session and getting the thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's great feedback. Yeah.
Okay.
Just could you go to atoms and then like the liver, the liver is where the toxic metals are stored. I mean, besides the ones that make it through the blood-brain barrier, but so like cadmium, okay, I smoke. Well, that, my liver's going to say that it's under stress, but is there a way to actually associate what is stressing the liver?
Yes, through the causal chain. For that, of course, I would use the causal chain. The causal chain is the only screen where you will find relationship between different families. So if you click on the liver and you click on the biomarker, and then you go to the screen, and you would go to causal chain. Oh, sorry. Let's click. And so when you are here, you can click on the bottom to the atoms. And from that, you can explore the atoms.
Yeah, I was doing that, and I would get locked up into certain screens. And when Stephen and I go through that, maybe the updates have fixed it, but you'll see that.
Okay.
You'll see, you can't get out of it. You have to, click to a different, either a different module, or sometimes like going from organ to meridians. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It locks up.
Okay, but you know that it's exactly the kind of little pain points that we want to remove. So that's why the best is that Steven is over your shoulder and looks at what you do. You share your screen, and we see your pain point and we fix it. That's the goal. Yeah.
So in the drives, could we go back to that screen?
Yeah.
Like whenever I go to that module,
Yes.
you know, mind module, it always drives opens up first. It never gives me the choice of
Yes, because
it's there.
because you have added it as favorite here. So if you want to remove it as first screen, you just click on favorite again to remove it, because
Okay.
this favorite is telling that when you click on mind, it will open directly this screen.
Opened one. Oh, okay.
The one that you put as favorite.
So when you click, just go ahead, go to Me Inside Emotions.
Okay.
Okay. And then just click on that box to see the connections. I need to pin your screen because I'm only seeing my screen.
Yeah, I love this metric. This looks great. This looks like it's coming around.
Okay, so now if you click on it, can you click on it to get the little dash lines removed?
Yeah, it don't seem to be. Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't really.
Yeah, okay. Here we are.
Now, what we've lost is what I was asking for, right? See, so it's Me Inside, right? Actions, right? Which is what that is. But really what I wanted to see is, instead of seeing all the maybe put the, whatever bar you're clicking on, the biomarkers, I'd like to see those. And when you say click and go to, when you click on the icon, right, and then go to the sends and receives from, it only shows received from, like that one right there. Those are all received from, right? But it doesn't say whether it's destructive or constructive, right? But when you have one that's has destructive and constructive, then it's really
Yeah, okay. So
screen to find out what they really are.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. Maybe this graph could be even more clear and show what directions and things like that. So it can probably be improved.
That would be so helpful for me.
Yeah.
I mean, write down a lot of stuff and then have to go back and look and say, oh, okay, that's what that is, right?
Okay.
And yeah, that's
the feedback you get from the clients is amazing, Dan, too. Don't you agree that they'll look at it, and when you talk to them about it, they're like, oh my God, yeah. Like it's brilliant.
That's that's definitely a jaw dropper.
The one thing you guys should look for is, like, look at others, or like, okay, so Me Inside, right, is fine, and then usually doesn't show up there. It usually shows up in the trigger points, which starts with Me Outside and others. And then it goes from Me Outside and others, and you'll see like timidity or lack of grief or certain biomarkers, they show up in 3 or 4 places, right? So when I do that, and I'm working with people, and I right away I see 3 of them. And the thing that I'm really looking for, and this may not be something that the software can do, but really, the triggers for people when they're trying to go through blocks and stuff, the surface ones, the low-hanging fruit, those are easy, because those they're interacting with every day consciously. But the subconscious ones, the deeper ones, right? And right now I haven't brought up my empathic skills to a more advanced level, so that, or like an energy mover. Some people, when I go to certain people, even with Jeff, that one's really deep, right? That tells me that that's either ancestral or a childhood wound.
And you know what could help in what you want to do, and that will come in the next update. When you want to really work on this kind of deep traumas and so on, we will have a lot of basic programs that would be built around these kind of things. And the big advantage of basic programs is that you can add some specific list items. So we can do some specific meditations that could be on several days or weeks, and that could address some very specific problems. And of course, you can build it, but if it comes as a basic program, it will be easier to integrate.
Sure.
And the missing link I'm working on right now is that from the biomarker panel, you will soon get the list of all basic programs that include this biomarker or that addresses this biomarker. And I think that's what you are speaking about, is that
I'm asking, yes.
yeah. Okay, so it's great because this idea is already in preparation, and the idea is that if you go to Drive and you want to work on a specific biomarker, you would be presented directly with a list of basic programs that are around this thematic, around this problematic. And I think it should be a solution for what you're speaking about. Mm.
Yeah, the other thing that I really would like for the granularity, so I just don't have to click on each one, is the cycles, right? Like anything that's higher, like if it's less than one per minute, right? Like if it's 0.8 instead of like, every 2.3 seconds, if it's 0.8 for 1 minute, that tells me usually it's a deeper cycle.
Yeah,
And if there's anything that you can range that.
yes, and you remember, you remember we spoke about that, and it's not
Yeah.
yet released, but we have a solution for you. Is that we want to add one additional information besides the petal. We spoke a few weeks ago on increasing the information that we can get in the petal, and maybe do it a little bit more graphic or something like that. And that's still cooking, so I have to bump it on top of the list because I understand why you insist on releasing it, because it's really useful. So yes. Mm.
Well, the one thing that, like, with my intermediate, my family, my cousin and her husband, they're just into the physical. But the other people that come, like at the psychic fairs and stuff, you know what? There's, the people that really stop and talk to me, you know what? They're on a spiritual path.
Yeah. Mm.
It's like, why am I not progressing? I said, and I can't really answer that question right now. And it's their problems, and I'm not fixing anybody. But when I'm giving them a roadmap and it's not complete, this is how I design up the roadmap and talk to them.
Mhm.
It's the deep ones that either if they're in 100% denial, or that they honestly and truly don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted the deep ones.
Yeah.
'Cause
Mm.
it's real easy to then make uh, a program or add stimuli or something, or even just categorize it in like body or mind, and then from those, right, now that I know those are the deep ones, then I can add things to it that will be beneficial to, or at least what
Mhm.
my heart tells me I should add.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I'll bump that in on the top of what we need to release soon. Okay. I
Yeah,
understand it's helpful.
the
Mm.
basic scan really works on that deep level for people. That's what I tell them, because I get people too that just want that advancement, what's blocking me or whatever. And so sometimes, well, what I like about this is that we don't even really need to overanalyze it or go. I mean, that's great to add other things like what Dan's saying, but I mean, Laura's seen this too. It's like we just get people on their basic programs after their scan, and that seems to progress naturally, which is really good.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is what came up, I think, on a couple of the Wednesday meetings for basic programs. If we had one for like a common cold, because there was like ones that address it, but not ones that just said that would be a good go-to.
Okay.
Like we've all said like which ones we use, like with like the lymphatic or the other ones, but it's a little bit, the common person though may not be able to dig down and relate those.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the other thing that we talked about was just kind of like an environmental one. Like if you're, just these days where people are, I mean, it's not easy to find I guess, safe, clean spaces everywhere in your house. But let's say you want to like relax or whatever, and you just have one that's like, hey, clear the environment that maybe has like geopathic stress, or, you know, that's just written, you know, for like a sacred space or a clear space that's combating like the Wi-Fi and everything, and just,
Okay.
you know, creating that clarity.
Okay. Yeah. Good
Thanks,
idea.
Medrick.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Or maybe not say it's about the Wi-Fi, but have it
No,
in
but
the
just environment clearing or
Yeah, I meant
cleaning.
more the environmental clear,
Yeah.
or like like here's a safe space, or create sacred, or yeah, I think that's one that people really like. Like, hey, I don't really necessarily want anything, but I just want to go into a neutral environment where I can, you know, feel myself uninhibited by external influences.
Yeah. Okay. Good idea.
Feeling grounded.
Yeah.
You know, you can't nullify Wi-Fi, otherwise you'll lose your connection.
No, but we are not working on Wi-Fi. We are working on the effect of Wi-Fi that it can have on your system, and maybe it's something that would just deplete you of energy because you are sensible to it. But the person next to you is not sensible to Wi-Fi, but sensible to, I don't know, common cold or something like that. So he will catch a cold and you will be tired, and different effects in the same environment, you know.
Yeah, I mean, not just Wi-Fi, but the cell phone, you know, and all of those, right? I mean, you can't really nullify it, like Jeff was saying, but there's a way to ameliorate. It's too bad you can't take the square wave and
What harmonizes the waves.
frequency in BioCoherence in a basic program to modulate that the Wi-Fi or your cell phone. I mean,
Yeah,
I've got
they have
two cell
enough in the database that really help those things, because I picked through those. So it'd just be nice to have one that's already there. But yeah, he's got plenty of frequencies that help that in there. Don't you, Medrick?
What in the stimuli, you mean?
What, just in the whole thing when I go through them?
Yeah.
You know,
the LPs, or when you're looking at LPs.
Just in general. I mean, if you just page through, he's got a whole bunch that help that.
Yeah.
Like, depending what it is.
So feel free to make some basic programs yourself if you have some good results with anything. I think Mikael wanted to do some lists today, so I will show you what's important to put in a list. Just let me show you another feature that is coming in the next release, so you can get it in beta right now only. You know, with this button on the bottom right that you currently don't see. Why? Maybe I'll have to make it a little bit shorter. Yes, okay. So if you open drives, on the bottom right, you will see insights, which are some way to engage with some AI helpers regarding this particular screen. So if you click on insights, you know you can start speaking with AI helpers, and they will receive the information related to the screen. But in the latest release, we are starting to add more panels here. And the idea is that you can use this right part of the screen in the same way that you use some tools in design softwares. And for instance, you can get your priorities always on screen, and you can work on your specific priorities lists and get information here. And the same you can get, for instance, your harmonic boost. And you can have your whole harmonic boost always on screen. And when you change on another screen, for instance, you still have these tools that are always here. So I think that's an interesting way to get some important information always on screen for you when you work on a computer. So this is just on, sorry?
Well, go ahead. I would like to ask a question when you're through with this explanation.
Yeah, please. I'm almost done. It's just the beginning. We want the framework to be available. So the framework right now includes harmonic boost and priorities and AI helpers, but we will probably add the second screen visualizer. When you have a second screen facing your client, you can always see in this part what your client is currently seeing. So I think that's helpful. We want probably to have the report. If you want to add some things in the report, and maybe do some things that you can just drop information in the report or things like that. And maybe some other important screens that you want to have always in your working area. Yes, please, Dan.
Well, so this is a question about end drives where, you've got constructive and destructive. Okay, so if you take hopefulness and hopelessness,
Yes.
okay, are those that's two sides of one coin. So, and I'm going to use a Dan Winter analogy because I find the out of phase, 180 degrees out of phase, very helpful because, it just in regular RF, that's noise cancellation, right? Or frequency cancellation.
Okay.
So is hopefulness, which is the constructive side, and hopelessness is the deconstructive side. Is hopelessness 180 degrees out of phase from hopefulness?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. The answer is no. The frequencies are entirely different. So that was the short answer. The long answer, there is no such thing as 180 degrees out of phase signal if you are out of a one-dimensional space. And we don't live in a one-dimensional space, we live in a 3D space. And it's impossible to do a wave cancellation in a 3D space because the wave will just start bumping everywhere and create a 3D wave that you cannot just cancel by feeding a counter wave, because there is no counter wave in 3D space. It's too complicated. So the idea of 180 cancellation is that you have a wave that does in 1D. So 1D means just a line. Okay. So you have for instance, an electric signal on a wire is one-dimensional. So you have a wave that is in one dimension, and you feed the counter wave that would make a zero result at the end. So this is intellectually very easy to understand. U gives the negative of the wave, so this negative, and when you add the two waves, it makes a zero. So it works perfectly fine on a line. So electrically, if you feed a counter wave on a line, and you can have the same emission point, it works. If it's not the same emission point, or if it's not on a straight line, it cannot work. It works in noise cancelling headphones because you are recording the sound just outside your ear, and then you have another speaker that will emit the opposing sound in the same line that the sound is going into your ear. But in your body, it doesn't make any sense, because your body is not a line. Your body is a very complex system of many resonant cavities and many magnetic or dielectric or physical structures that responds to some resonant frequencies, but you cannot cancel this resonant frequency by feeding a 180 wave. If you feed a 180 wave, what will happen is that you will just amplify this particular frequency, because it's not the same starting point and it's not on a line. So what I just want to explain is that if someone tells you, hey, I'm canceling your nasty message by feeding a 180 wave, you can just say that it's bullshit in the human body. It cannot work in the human body. It can only work in an electrical signal. So we are not working with reversing the signal or things like that. That doesn't make sense in a 3D environment. We are working with resonant frequencies that address specific structures in the body. And by emitting these frequencies, we are making this structure resonate, because each structure can be made to resonate if you feed them the right frequency. For instance, a tuning fork at 440 hertz, if you use a speaker that emits 440 hertz, the tuning fork will start vibrating, even if there is no contact between the two. But if you feed, I don't know, 450 hertz, it will stay silent. It will not move. And it's the same for every structure inside our body. So to answer your question, hopefulness and hopelessness has different frequency imprints into these programs because these frequencies are making different structures move. Because in fact, hopefulness is not the opposite of hopelessness. It's completely different mechanisms that happen in our brain. And you cannot say, I'm not hopeful, so I'm hopeless. In fact, you can be hopeful and hopeless at the same time on different topics. It's not the direct opposite, and it's not the same structures that are resonating inside your mind.
It's not actually on the same line, even though
No.
It's not the vertical bar that is split by the horizon. May be hopefulness on constructive, but
Yes.
it may be lack of grief. I see what you're saying.
So on this visual representation, hopefulness and hopelessness are actually on a line, because this line is just showing the energy that is related to this particular biomarker. So it's a 1D representation of the energy that is currently that this particular structure has currently in your system. So in your system, you can say, okay, this is my mind. There are some clouds in my mind, and one cloud is everything related to hopefulness, and another cloud is everything related to hopelessness. And currently, I have a very big cloud for hopefulness because I'm very positive, but I also have a very smaller cloud for hopelessness because some things are really draining me out, and maybe it's not the same thing, but the two can coexist. Okay, and this line that you see here is just the relative, you can see it as the relative size of these different clouds that are in your mind, so the relative energy of these two different of these two opposite structures. So if you give more energy to hopefulness, it will probably drain some energy from hopelessness because the more hopeful you are, the more you are in shape to fight your hopelessness in a way.
So
Wouldn't this be like if we're looking at frequencies, and let's say we have the frequencies, those two would be, one of them would say 144 hertz 0.67, and the other one would be 144 hertz 0.52. And so they're right there in that same harmonic, but the frequencies are just slightly different enough that they fall into the category that they don't cancel each other. They're part of the whole. And so they're part of the same energy frequency, but they're just point frequencies away from each other.
It might be that these frequencies are related. So I should look into our frequency tables to see for this particular point, but what is sure is that the two will share some resonance frequencies. So they will have some specific frequencies, but they will have some common frequencies, and that's because they have common frequencies, they are able to exchange information between the two. Because what happens in energetic systems is that if you have some resonant frequencies in common, you are able to send and receive information and energy between all of these different items. And of course, these two are closely related. But it's these different common frequencies that allow us to compute the links between the different items in BioCoherence. So they will have some frequencies in common, and they will have some specific frequencies, and that's why we can evaluate these different states. And that's why what we do in BioCoherence is that we try to restore communication between items that don't communicate enough for whatever reason. So we are trying to restore communication by working on these bridges, and these bridges are common frequencies between these different structures.
Well, that's why I'm trying to figure out. That's why I came up with the 180 degrees out of phase,
Yeah.
because, like what Jeff was saying, 144.4 and 144.5. Well, that's like AM radio or FM radio. It's,
Yeah.
0.10 is a different channel.
Exactly.
So really what I'm looking for, because, I'm kind of in a conundrum here, because sometimes it gets described as, well, you add, if hopelessness, which is destructive, has the big bar on it, and hopefulness, and they're both flexible, right? They're both flexible.
Yeah.
But, the constructive side has no bar.
Yeah.
Side has 3/4 of the bar filled up.
Which
And
means it has more energy. Yes. Mm.
so then you need to add energy to the one that doesn't have a bar. I mean, that's not, intuitive.
Yeah. Okay. So let me try and explain what we do when we use the harmonic boost and so on. So when you have two opposite emotions like that, hopefulness, hopelessness, you can work on the positive one or you can work on the negative one. Depends on how you like to tackle problems. Either you are more like I want to work frontally on my negative issues, or I'm more a gentle person and I more want to be dragged into something positive. So that's the first step, that you as a pro, you have to assess what kind of people do I have in front of me. Do they prefer working frontally on their problem? So the problem being too much energy on the negative side. Okay. Do they want to work directly on this problem, or do they want to work on the other problem? It will mostly have an effect during the personal guide, because the personal guide has texts, and this text will be different if you work on hopefulness or if you want on hopelessness. But what will happen with the frequencies is that we will try to restore communication between hopefulness and the rest of the system, or we will try to restore communication between hopelessness and the rest of the system. But in both cases, what we want to do is restore communication, because if your hopelessness has so much energy, it's maybe because you have other resources in your system that can help this hopelessness and it cannot reach it. It's somehow stuck, and this hopelessness is just a big cloud that has solidified somehow, and none of your inner resources can reach it to help it. And it's just mumbling around by itself. So if we start working on hopelessness and restoring communication with other parts of your system, maybe this hopelessness will resolve by other resources that you have. And that's exactly what we try to do with BioCoherence.
And thank you for that. That helps explain. But if you look at in your in the screen you were showing, hopefulness and hopelessness are both flexible.
Yeah.
But you can go to the resources, and if you look at resources, both flexibles, one may be, they're both flexible, but one may not be a resource, or one may be strained.
Yeah, sure.
Resource. So I mean, that part, because I'm trying to figure out how to help people, right?
Yeah.
When and just because it says it's a resource, I mean, Michael, with that woman, she's 68. Well, usually when I do my scans, some of them are low, but my average score total is usually never below, it might be 59. But even when I just came out of surgery, my progression was above 60. And so I'm really trying to take in all information. But just because it says resource, that doesn't, if it says strain, that's really not intuitive.
It's interesting because sometimes we have one specific structure, so one biomarker that is both a resource and a priority. And that's quite hard to understand. But it's possible that because the algorithm for priorities and for resources is a bit different. So we can identify that you have a specific resource, but you also have to work on that resource,
Well, yeah, I get it. But if I shared my screen and showed you my drives, I have, if I have something that's constructive, it's just a little teeny tiny, above the horizon and constructive. But all the rest of mine are all, I have like 4 or 5 that are horizontally balanced, perfect. But the ones that are really causing me problems are huge. And what does it mean when the line extends either it extends out of the constructive and the destructive at the same time, or sometimes the overall line extends in above the constructive only. And the constructive, there's no bar on the constructive.
Okay, so for instance, this one.
Yeah, that's that's above.
Yeah.
Right?
So it probably means that it's a very active issue right now with this particular problem, with this particular person, I mean. And so benevolence and grief, for instance, is both are very high for this person. It just means that it's a problem that is currently receiving or mobilizing a lot of energy in the system of your client. So it's an active issue and probably something that is coming and coming and coming often in their head. And so it can be a priority, yes. But maybe it's something too big to tackle right now too. And maybe it won't show up as a priority right now because you have to start with something else. You know, when people come with a very active problem, especially psychological problems, sometimes the best is not to go frontally to it. Sometimes the best is to start cleaning the environment before that and start working on it later.
Okay, so if you go to momentums, because momentums is in the same thing, and what you see right there is benevolence and grief. And if you go to momentums, okay, so now look at the bar right there in the movement. What are the biomarkers for that?
This is organisms.
Okay. So actually, those particular bars only go out the top; they don't go out the bottom.
No.
So I was finding there are, when I look in, I don't have the example in front of me, but I look at the different markers, and you've got geopathic, restraint, equilibrium, all of that, right? Okay, so
yeah.
I was clicking on some of those, and then when you go into the chain, it's like, oh, so maybe grief or lack of grief, right? Because it's especially like in organisms, because like Jeff says, organisms are cleanup, right? So your body is creating the conditions for them to exist. Why? Because they clean up. That's their food source.
Yes, including on emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, so grief, lack of grief, benevolence. I mean, timidity. When I look at mine, I have very, if any, things in the constructive side. All of them are destructive. And I am trying to heal myself, but I'm trying to understand it. And if I do heal myself, then I can be more proactive with clients, because the clients that come to me that I give the most benefit to is in the mind shadow drives, right? Because for me, actually, TJ's helped when he says, man, you gotta get more flexible. Same with what Jeff said yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. But grief and timidity, or lack of grief or benevolence. Well, I guess if I'm very flexible and I'm more fluid, so that would be a good state. But those are all emotional things. And that's what I'm trying to understand, because I really think that's the most power of this software is mind shadow drives, all of that, because once you can get a handle on your mind and then work from the heart, and then through the heart connect to the mind, then you're a more powerful being. But right now, it's people are getting pulled into all these emotional. I mean, it's how society's controlling them. And I want to be able to see these things and help them. Plus talk to them, say, look, drop your, set your phone down for 5 minutes an hour. Don't look at it, or whatever. Turn the TV off for 5 minutes or something, and then work on the emotional aspects. That's why I was really hitting you hard on this, to try to figure out, okay, so how do I counteract it? Right? Do I just do AI? But sometimes AI, the way I'm interpreting it, because I used to have CB radios on my truck, and I had co-phase I don't know if you can see that, co-phase antennas. And, right in the center of the cab of the truck, or right between the center point of two of both whip antennas, big, like 3-meter antennas or 2.5-meter antennas, right? Two of them.
Dan, I'm sorry, but I have to cover the list creation, and we are almost on 1 hour, so I will have to cut you on that. Yeah, because Michael wanted us to make some list creations.
Yeah, I can show you the results so everybody understands what I'm talking about quickly.
Yeah, sure.
Because now I created some supplement lists. It's already known, but I think it's important to understand how to use it, because I use it normally in the morning at like after breakfast or after a walk, especially in the morning, because the body needs stuff in the morning. So what you see here is my list. I think everybody has access to that.
Yes.
So everybody can use it in the morning. And the idea behind it is that it's can be a big market, because I'm connected to a very, very big company here in Germany. It is the main company for supplements located in Berlin, called Sunday Natural. They send around 10,000 parcels a day. And my idea is, because I'm connected to them, that I'm trying to, make customers in this field, because if people use it, they have many benefits. One is, for example, they know what is missing, because the body is telling them that they need it. The second thing is that the body is not taking something which it doesn't need. And the third thing is that it's a different level of using it, because there are many, many people using a lot of supplements, and most of them are taking too much, especially the ones who think they are the pros, quote unquote. And so my idea is that Medrick is showing us how to create a list with an Excel file.
Yeah, and I wanted to show you what I think is important to put into a list. So if you can just pin my screen.
So everybody is aware of what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is it a good crossover for supplements here in America?
I mean, you can do your own list, but
the idea is that everybody can create lists for any supplement company if you just have an Excel file or a list of their products, and I will show you how to create that. If you want to, if you work with some specific supplement company, or if you have just a set of things that you like to test, you can create your list, and the system will just fetch the information and give you some hints on whether it's useful for your client or not, which is very useful, I think, in your everyday practice.
And it's also a reference point, because it's not coming out of your mouse, it's coming out of the app's information. So you have a reference beside you as the pro, that the app is telling the client what it needs. And I have a few situations where I did it with clients, and they say, "Oh, I need cordyceps," and they bought cordyceps the next day. So they know exactly, oh, the machine is telling me this is right. This is the result. Yeah.
So Michael, like, you know how to do this now? Could you do like a little class with us or something?
Yeah, I will do it.
Oh, you're gonna do it.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Dan, you have a question?
Yes. I have a similar thing with herbs because of alchemy.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, I wanted to ask a question about the extraction of the supplements. Are they chemically made, or are they bio extracted? That's
okay. So that's out of the focus of what I want to show now. I just want to show you how to create a list, and maybe then you can ask the specifics of this particular round.
2 minutes after that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. And by the way, I don't know if you scrolled the latest update, but if you go to Secret Things in experimental and you enable the social posts, you can start building your own social profile. But now we have some AI helpers that are writing articles, and they are absolutely amazing. So if you activate this function, you can get some information written by our different AI helpers, and hopefully soon written by you, because everything that is written by pros will be at the top of this list. So this is the beginning of our coming social network. And I think it would really be interesting, especially because it will be available on the general internet and not only on your homepage. But please read these articles because they are actually really interesting. So you go on the left, sorry, test lists, and here you can edit all of your specific test lists. So that's where Michael created this list. So you want to create a new one, for instance, and let's call it Sunday supplements. Sunday. You might want to add a description or not, and you say it's a product, because when you click on product, you can give the brand name, and the brand name is Sunday. What's the full name, Michael?
Natural.
Sunday Natural.
That's the name of the company.
Okay. So let's.
But then I will answer your question. Don't worry.
Yeah, Sunday Natural supplement and general prompt to images. We don't know it. Okay, so let's keep it private right now, and we say okay. And now we can start, we can click on it and we can start adding new items. So either you add them one by one, or you click here to import a list of items. And so if you click here, I will take what Michael sent me, which is just a list of items, and I will paste them like that, one per line, and that's all, okay? And if I click on import, I now have directly a list of different items that are ready to edit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I click on it, and I can magic quest the actions for Sunday Natural, and it will just look for what organs and biomarkers or things this particular product would do. So it's fetched from internet a description. So astragalus is a herb commonly used in TCM, known for adaptogenic properties and so on. So this has just been written by an AI, and it has most importantly saved some actions. So it would enhance lungs, equalize liver, equalize kidneys, enhance immune system, heart, enhance confidence, diminish letting go, enhance calmness, and so on and so on. So it will fetch some information like that, and you can just save it and go to the next one. Okay, so what does magnesium complex? Let's magic guess. And it will fetch it, sorry. Yes, that's it. I save, I go to the next one. Potassium. Reishi. Magic guess.
And so forth.
And so forth. And so very quickly, you have this list of different items that have two informations. One is the title and the contents and the other thing. And the other one is what biomarkers we have computed it has some action on. And that's very important, because this list, and this is probably what is missing with your list, Michael, because you don't because you don't use it like that. This list will allow you to have an immediate static evaluation, with not recommended or high impact, low impact, etc., according to your latest or to your current recording. So you do an evaluation, you open the list, and immediately it will tell you this one is good or this one is not good. And then the second thing you can do is that what you actually do, Michael, checking the different items and doing a live biofeedback test. Yeah. So if you want, we can go back to the latest evaluation from my client. And sorry, I will just go back on my homepage and take this one, say it's the latest evaluation, okay? Go to list and items. And now I will check into the product Sunday Natural Supplements. And because I have given some information for this 4 ones, I immediately have some information, and the best for this client is the reishi extract. You can see it here.
Yeah, great.
Okay. And for the other ones where it's not computed, I can still do the second. So this is the pre-evaluation. So it means that according to the system's knowledge of your different biomarkers, this one is the most recommended. Okay, but then you can do a live test, a live biofeedback test, and you can just check it and perform the test. And that's what you do every morning when you want, or that's what you do when you're with your client. And that's where you have the it's good for you, or it's bad for you, or it's may for you. We don't really know after the live test.
The missing link you're giving me is because this company is very, I mean, many companies are very connected to the scientific world, you know, especially this company is like, oh, this is, you know, they are connected to physicians and they are telling them
Yes.
what is the best results and stuff like that. And so they want, of course, no hocus pocus, which we say in Germany, they want the real stuff. And it's okay if say this is good for the liver, and they know the liver is weak, then it's always the first information it might be good for you, and the second information that you do the scan, and then the body is telling exactly whether it's good or not.
Yeah, exactly. One word with biofeedback. Maybe sometimes you will have a positive result and you do another test and you will have a negative result because it's not a completely exact science. It's like when you do some muscle tests, or when you ask a question to someone and maybe the first time he will give an answer and the second time he will give another answer. And why? Because he already had the information and he will process your question differently because it's not the first question, or because he had a little bit of time to think about it, or because he just changed his mind. And it's the same when you do a biofeedback test. Each time you do a new test, you do the test in the context of your body, but in the context of the information that you gave before. So it can change. That's how information works. When you ask several times a question, the answer can change. So there's nothing to do about it.
Of course. And the fun is, if you take something yesterday and today they say no, okay, I have enough of this substance.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really amazing, and you can attract many customers.
Yeah.
This is one of my aims, you know, here in Germany. And to answer Dan's question, this company has a very high standard about quality, a very high standard. And of course, extraction comes with products. So some products need an extraction, some not. But it's listed what kind of amount of extraction they have. So everything's listed there.
So anyway, you can do it with the products of this company, but you can do it with the product of any company. And once you are done with this work and you have done a list that you are happy with, so you can go back to this list, you can check and you can say, okay, the AI says it's good for lungs, but I don't agree. So you just click on it and you can just edit this list, you know, and maybe, I don't know, remove the lungs because you don't agree with it, because you are the professional, okay? Or maybe you say, okay, lungs is good, but it's particularly good for the bronchi and the alveoles, okay? And when you add this information, it will go into the computing of this particular item. So the more you edit that and the more precise it is, the best it is for having this evaluation. And when you are done, you save it and you can still edit it and make it public. And when you make it public, every pro can use your list, and can every user that uses this particular supplement brand can get a test from it. So
I will use my pro books. You know, I have books for certain supplements, and they are telling me exactly what it's for.
Exactly.
So it's coming from the books and not, you know, from AI. So it's really a validation of what the stuff is all about.
Exactly. So AI is a good thing to go fast and to start iterating, and maybe to get, I don't know, 90% of the selection right. But if you want to edit it, you just click on organ or on any organ, and you have this list. And you can say, oh, it forgot the tongue. Let's add the tongue. Or if it forgot tissues. And when you click on it, you can get some details, like it's particularly good for connective tissues. And that's fine.
Michael, did you find any discrepancies?
I'm using this now for half a year, like 5 times a week, I would say. I'm the guy who's using the system, you know, really use the system. And so it is always fun to see that. And because I know every morning is different. The body always, you eat different. Someday you have salad.
I wasn't asking that. I'm sorry. I'm asking like when you put the list in and then you looked at everything, were there any discrepancies between what AI said it was doing and what you saw on your own list?
I only put in the name of the product,
Yeah,
not
it didn't
distinct.
add the structures yet. So maybe now
Oh,
you will
haven't
maybe
gone
now you will
through
want to play with it and
But I
check
do
it.
that
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I was just wondering if there were any discrepancies because I have found like AI isn't 100% accurate. So
No, it's it's a library, but it's not a know-it-all thing. So
right.
yeah,
But it's very good.
yeah. You can take as a principle that AI will give you, I don't know, 80 or 90% of the first steps, but then it will in fact give you hints of what you want to check. So it's a good way to start things, but it's not the way to finish things.
Yeah.
It's a very good way to start working on things and to get some first items.
And because I created the list is already there. So I will now, I think it will take a few days, but next week you can use it in the way how Medrick described it in a proper way. Yeah.
And of course, if you want to make a really, really nice list, don't use the automatic generation, because if you click on generate, it will do something like that, which is very nice but not useful. What you want to do is just click on import and import a real picture of the product if you have one.
I have all the products here.
Yes, so if you work on a mobile, you can even take a picture directly from your mobile phone if you want, but usually you can take it from their catalog.
Yeah.
So it's quick to do a list, but it's not that quick because you still have a little bit of work to do, and that's why at some point, I told that in the beginning, when you put a list in public, you will have an option to say this list has a price, and every time user will use it, you will get a share of the revenue that user have to pay when they use this list. So that's a feature that is not yet available, but that will come at one point. And that's because some lists might be a lot of work, and it's normal to give money to the people that do the work and then give it to the public.
I like to hear results maybe next week.
Yeah, sure.
If you try it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so use the lists. That's how we created a lot of new meditations too, because when you use the lists, if it's so this is for products, okay. But if I go back to my lists, for instance, I don't know, this one that maybe you tried. So each of these items are actually a member of lists, and you can write a title, a description. It can help you write the meditation. It will generate the audio, and now it's entirely made when you click on audio recording. It can generate a picture, and it can find the actions that are linked to the text of your meditation. So we created, a lot of new basic programs in Adventures, and these basic programs were done by first creating list items, then adding some actions, and when the actions are created, you can get a button to create it as a basic program that will include all of these programs and this custom meditation, and that's how we end up with. Let me go back to the basic programs and Adventures, and that's this one. Yes, that's how we end up with all of these cards. It's actually coming from the lists.
Yeah.
So Michael's list, Michael, your list is inputted or not?
Yeah, okay, you have access.
Do I need to send you or ask for an invite or?
No, everybody can use it.
No, you can. You open an exploration. You go to lists, and if it's not here, you click on the update or the refresh button, and then you will find it under products probably.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Of course.
That's similar to what I was trying to do with the atoms and the.
Yeah, I think what you wanted to do is because one of the things you wanted to do is to create sigils. Do you say that? And maybe that's something you can do with lists too, because with the list you can actually work on the prompt that is used to create the icons. So maybe you can do something with that too.
But you added features to it that makes it more viable now to do that.
Yeah.
Where before it was just trial and error. I mean, maybe even just doing the muscle strain test. I mean, that's what we were looking at before, but that's a big evolution.
Yeah, I think list is a very underrated part of BioCoherence, because you tend to go always to explorations and to screens and so on. But in the list, you can really do what you want. So it's a very interesting part, and it's just waiting for you to create your thing in it.
Did we figure out how to get meats and dairy on the list yet?
Oh, it's easy. You can just add some items. If you want to brainstorm and to add some items in a text file, and you just paste them and click on import, and it will create all your items. And then I don't know, if you want to work on meat, it will, and you auto detect the actions like I've shown. It will say, okay, this meat is good for your system, and this meat is not good for your system, because it will work on different organs. I don't know. So you can do a lot with lists, and you just have to come up with these ideas. Okay, cool.
Great.
This was very informative today.
Yeah.
Maybe if you can get Stephen to call me, I got for another meeting at 10 o'clock, but yeah, have Stephen reach out to me, because there's some things in drives that while you have up, I haven't opened up 1.16 yet. I've downloaded it, but yeah, have him reach out to me, and I'll give him, we'll do a couple hours or however long it takes to go through the different modules. I really want to work, because there are some things that are not really a speed feature. It's just that, how do you get out of this? You can't get out of it.
Anyway, yes, play with the latest beta. The focus right now is to remove all the pain points that you can have. So please feel free to reach with Steven, and so we can just look over your shoulder what is bothering you with the app, and we will fix it. And I think the next release will be as close to perfect as possible with your help. So thank you, everybody. I will stop the recording.
Thank you, Eric.